Batman Superman number 2, written by Greg Pak, art by Jay Lee. So last issue, very early days, Batman and Superman got into a fight and they were somehow teleported where Superman fought against a Batman that seemingly knew him and was aware of him, and then Pa Kent showed up. So, a lot going on. This issue, we get introduced to the villain behind it, named the Chaos Bringer, aka Kaio, and just wanting to have some fun, just taking early days Batman and Superman and just putting them in a different reality where they have known each other for quite some time. And we open up with Batman being teleported into Wayne Manor, more or less, into the Batcave. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. I shouldn't be able to be teleported. Nobody should know that this is here. Crap, someone knows my secret identity. This is not cool. And then he was like, okay, but I was fighting Catwoman, and Catwoman doesn't know how to teleport, so that shouldn't be a worry. And then Catwoman shows up right next to him and is just like, oh, hello, dear. And just, how's it going? And he's like, okay, apparently she does know how to teleport. So he starts trying to fight her. She knows all of his moves, and he's like, that's impossible. No one should be able to fight like that. But then he looks over on a nearby desk or something and sees a wedding photo. And she's like, oh, what's next, my husband? And it's like, okay, it's clearly we've traveled to a different world, and I just need to evaluate this. Cut back to Smallville, where Superman, not doing so good of a job of piecing that together. Pa Kent's like, okay, I don't know who you are. You look like my son, in a t-shirt for some reason, but regardless, I know you're not, because my son would never beat up his good friend. And he looks down at Batman, and Superman feels this shame in him, and he's like, my parents are dead. This upsets me. And so he goes back down, he like grips Batman by the neck. He's like, what are you doing to me? How did you do this? What do you want from me? And Batman's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm out. And so he boom tubes out. And Superman's like, you can't run away from me. And then all of a sudden they hear this sonic boom, and dropping down from the sky is Superman of this world saying, getting the hell away from my parents. He doesn't say hell, but he says, get away from my parents. So Batman, we see him boom tube back to his cave, and he looks around and he sees like some other stuff, and he's like, okay, there is a duplicate of me as well here, so that's a problem. But as he looks around, he sees Kaio, he sees Chaos Bringer, and he's like, wait, hold on, stop. And Kaio just disappears, and it's like, okay, well, that was weird. So then he comes across Catwoman and Batman, and I have no better way of naming them. New Batman and Old Batman, or Batman and New Batman, or Old Batman. So confusing. Regardless, Catwoman's tied up, and New 52 Batman starts immediately fighting. And Old Batman is also like, yeah, no, you tied up my wife. What's wrong with you? So they start fighting each other, and Catwoman's like, actually, I had this all under control. You don't have to... Okay, yeah, boys will be boys, I guess. So the Batmans realize that they know each other's fighting styles perfectly. And while New 52 Bruce is a bit greener and is not as experienced, Old Batman is older and therefore not as quick. And so at that point, New 52 is like, hey, my dad told me a bedtime story every night for a month when I was 5 years old. What was it? And Old Batman says the right answer, and he's like, okay. So yeah, we can establish we're the same person now. Is this time travel, or is it an alternate world, or maybe magic? And they're just immediately on the same page. And New 52 Batman's like, by the way, I was teleported here. I was fighting a red and blue monster, and he's so strong. And if he's here as well, you got to take care of him. And Batman's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I got a friend taking care of that one. So we see New 52 Superman walking up to old Superman saying like, who the hell are you? And old Superman's like, language. And then just as he gets in his face, just pushes him back and he falls down to the ground. We see Martha and Pa Kent are telling him like, oh, boys, stop fighting. Like, this is not a thing. And so Martha walks in to the New 52 Superman just being like, oh, I'd recognize my son anywhere. And old Superman's like, Ma, he might be dangerous. And it's like, oh, hush. I think that he just lost something. Did you lose your parents earlier? Like, are we gone in your world? And other Superman's like, yes. Oh, God, Mommy. So we see the Waynes having dinner along with Catwoman. We see Mom, Pa Kent is sharing a moment with New 52 Superman. And then we see them basically exploring the world, and it's revealed that old Batman basically cleaned up Gotham. He didn't kill his villains, but they're put on ice. They're all cryogenically frozen. And they've actually replaced Arkham Asylum with an amusement park, which Batman's like, that might have been a bit far, but you know what? The kids love it. And we see old Superman is flying around, whereas New 52 Superman at this point still takes leaps and bounds. And Superman's like, do you want to lift? And New 50 Superman's like, nah, I'm good, thanks. So they see that there's some giant Wayne Tech robots that New 52 Superman's scared of. And it's like, no. They're cool. They're building things. They run off solar energy. Like, this place rocks. We've solved crime. This is far distant in the future. And they arrive on top of the Daily Planet, and we see Lois Lane is there. And Lois is like, yeah, no, you're married to me. I just wanted to see an alternate version of my husband. And Clark from New 52 is like, oh, we're married? Oh, in my world, we're just friends. And he's like, oh, well, that's lame. Who are you dating then? And he's like, no one. I mean, I guess. And then all of a sudden, on a flying Pegasus, in comes Wonder Woman saying, hey, what did I miss? And New 52 Superman's like, oh, hubba, what's going on there? And Lois turns to her husband and is just like, oh, we're going to talk about this later. Superman's like, he's not me. Okay, yeah, no, I get it. So then at that point, Wonder Woman gets off her Pegasus, takes her sword that she has, and shoves it through Lois Lane's chest. And it turns out that she's able to see that this is actually the Chaos Bringer or whatever. And she's like, oh, you've just picked a fight with a god, Wonder Woman. So here's the thing. I enjoy Jay Lee's art for the most part, but only once I understand what's happening. Because there are many sequences in this where, like on the first read through, as I'm trying to get a grip on it, it did nothing but confuse me more. And then going back and reading it, I was like, oh, okay, that's this Superman, or this is like this thing he's looking at. It doesn't do the book any favors. I will say that it looks great once you get it. But it's very hard to get a grip on like what all is happening and what characters are who. Lois and Catwoman are identical. They're just 100% the same person. So there are problems with the art, but it is good. In terms of the story, I don't even want to begin to understand what's happening yet. I mean, clearly they've been teleported to some world, possibly pre-New 52, maybe future. I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get there, but overall, I'm into it. I think this does a lot more to explain what was happening last issue, because clearly we barely got a glimpse of that last time, and I'm into this story now. I'm super excited to see where it goes, so overall, I'm going to give this one I'll give it an 8. I think that it is a solid story being told, and I look forward to seeing what happens with Chaos Bringer, or whatever her name is. Hold on. Yeah, Chaos Bringer. I got it. It's an 8.